Aside from philosophical thoughts about knowledge, existence, and politics, we have a lot of different schools of thoughts and philosophy, which include the aforementioned topics, but they also, can dive into different aspects of existence and phenomena. Welcome back. Today, we'll be doing a philosophical schools of thought tier list. As you can see, we have quite a lot of different uh, topics to work with. I specifically chose this one because it has a good variety. As you can see, we have Buddhism and we got, well, liberalism. These two don't really relate to one another, at least not in the traditional sense, but we'll be able to go through all of them. So I'd say that's a good thing. So without further ado, let's begin. And first off, we have materialism. Okay, for me, this is going to S tier. But let me tell you why. This photo of materialism here, I think, is misleading because materialism isn't like you value the material, like you want to have a car, you want to have a home, you want to eat more, do more, go around the world, just, lose yourself in earthly matters. It's not that. And I think materialism should be interpreted as, seeing the material conditions of existence itself, because we are all material beings, right? Like what we think, what we are shaped by our conditions. And even existence itself always conditions one another. Like, uh, well, no reaction is independent from each other, right? Matter isn't independent from each other. Even in the quantum level, the particles just entangle with one another and change their properties, change how they're going to react over time. So I think, like, aside from the scientific facts, this is very, very, very important to keep in mind because it explains the human livelihood, and this is just a very good method overall. Like, I think what I'm interpreting with materialism here is that I'm thinking about dialectic materialism, like a bit more of a Marxist approach. While I'm not a Marxist, like not flat out at least, I think materialism should be interpreted like that. Okay, next off, we have liberalism. And while a couple years ago I would have put this in A or S tier, I'm going to have to put this in C tier. Okay, hear me out here. While liberalism is, of course, better than, any authoritarian regime, any fascist state, it is inevitably a system of, exploitation and, slavery, really. Because, okay, liberalism, at least in most liberal countries of the modern world, well, let's say United States, because this could be the best example we can give here. And the United States has a division of powers, right? We have the Congress, we have the president, and we have, the rest. The thing is, while the government works, it receives funding from its citizens by taxes. But the critical point here is that they have a private sector. And the private sector is, well, it is just very hard to stop because, after all, it just, the private sector tends to increase in, their political power definitely increases over time because they, rule the economy. So the government has to cooperate with the private agents to, rule their country, but in the end they sort of have to do some compromises. And if they have to keep their position of power, like if they want to stay in power, and if they want to, just act out the law, they have to be capitalists. And they kind of, this kind of suppresses people over time and leads to a very unequal state, if you ask me. So liberalism, for me, it shoots itself in the foot, and the time of liberalism is coming to an end, if you ask me. Intuitism. I'm gonna put this in B tier because I don't really have much of any opinion about this topic. What intuitism is, it is that I think, as far as I know, the theory that mathematics and those kind of inherently apparent mathematics, those kind of computations, are not inherent facts, objective facts about the universe, but they are mental shortcuts and mental interpretations of what the brain and the agent sees in this universe. And I kind of agree with this notion, but I definitely do believe that well, I think even if it is a mental shortcut, why will it be any less correct? Like, there could be an ingrained understanding of mathematics, there could be an ingrained sense of rules and correlation, and our minds may have come to, see that, to discover that. And I think, like, so I'm standing in the middle ground about this topic. Also, going back to liberalism, I realized that I forgot to, kind of define what liberalism is. Liberalism, in short, I'm just going to give a very short but thorough answer. It is mostly the division of powers in a nation state, and there is, like, it values liberty, it values the free market, and it is a democracy, and the powers are, as aforementioned, are divided, like, policy policy making, applying the policies and whatnot. So, in short, it is most of the modern world states are liberals. Idealism, straight do D tier. Idealism goes to straight D tier. Okay, idealism is not just like Plato talking about them, like, the cave allegory that we're seeing the fake. Okay, he could have said that. It was 2,500 years ago. He had the right to say that. But today, you cannot just go around telling people, oh, yeah, everything is an idea and ideas shape reality. Like, this is very primitive. And this idealism has led to so many misconceptions about the world that are still lasting today. It has created this rigid, very insensible way of belief, way of information in people. Like, this idealism traps people in their minds, and it makes them believe that they're not seeing the whole point. But that's not the case. We do have a way to, like, not everything is an idea. Existence is embodied. Like, we don't have phenomenology here, but if you want to learn more about my topics on idealism and lived reality, make sure to check out my, meditations on life videos, because I go into depth about these topics. But in short, not everything is an idea, and ideas are simply, byproducts of a lived reality. They are not the reality it's themselves. Okay, moving on. Humanism, straight S tier. Okay, humanism. This is very, very simple. I don't think there is much to debate about here. Like, humanism is valuing humanity. Well, pretty much it. Yeah, like, don't kill, don't harm, and just value the human race, contribute to it. I literally have no idea what else you can say about this. Like, you can come up with some, indoctrinated answers and responses saying, oh, well, why do I have to serve humanity? Why do I have to be good? And, like, oh, why do I have to take care of other people? You don't. That's the whole point. You don't have to, but you do. And if you don't, like, okay, let's twist the question around. Like, why don't you? You live, you die. This helps you too. Everybody's happy. Like, I think, Loki, that capitalism and the modern world have doctrinated us so far into individualism and being estranged from one another, that we look at humanism, at least some people, like they have to take the weight of other people. No, that's not humanism. Humanism, in its most essential form, is caring about other human lives. That's it. That's really it. No need to fear it. No need to present any other questions. Please, if you disagree with this notion, please evaluate why you think so, because there may be underlying societal beliefs as to why. Historicism. I'm going to put this in A tier because, okay, I'm gonna give this an example of Hegel here, because humans are historical creatures. Humans develop and retain their sense of time as a species through history. And most of your personality, too, comes from history. Like, the things that you're using in your daily life were not invented after you were born. You were born into a narrative, and that narrative kind of just gave you different aspects of your personality, and you kind of worked your way around it. So historicism, and correct historicism, again going back to dialectical relationships, I think it is very important to both understand and interpret the world according to yourself. Feminism, S tier. Okay, before you say, or before anybody thinks that, oh my god, you're a nonchalant 6'4", 190 centimeters, nonchalant dreadhead, feminism is directly tied into humanism. Like, all human beings are equal no matter what, and all groups that are oppressed need to be released. And you know who are oppressed? Like, number one, and yeah, it's women. But seriously, like, the problem of misogyny and patriarchal relations goes way deeper than we would like to imagine. And feminism is not just painting your hair red, drinking matcha, hating men, or hating those who are not women. That's really not it. If you respect men, if you are a man that wants to have a good life and that wants to have a good relationship with women, like, be a feminist, man, because like misogyny and patriarchy hurts absolutely everybody, like, on god. So feminism is not just some marginalized thing that people would want to believe. It's a necessary movement that is, well, liberating those who are oppressed, which is pretty much 4 billion people. Moving on, existentialism, a bit of a personal pick here, but it's going into S tier. And um, but by the way, before existentialism, I wanted to find out feminism is the belief that women and men are equal. It is the notion of gender equality and the liberation of women who are oppressed, which is everyone. Yeah. Okay. With that out of the way, let's go back to existentialism. And existentialism, focuses on, okay. There is no rigid explanation as to what existentialism is, because there are a lot of different viewpoints on the topic. That, like, Kierkegaard is also existentialist, and Sartre, Jean-Paul Sartre, is also an existentialist, and those two have a lot of different beliefs. But in short, existentialism focuses on the person's beliefs, on the person's own existence, and the overall notion is that meaning in life, like, you're thrown into a world without meaning mostly, and you create your own meaning, you live your own life. Existentialism is kind of like thinking about your own life, your own special existence that is isolated from others, and it's kind of like a discovery as to what it feels to be you. At least that's how I feel about existentialism, and I think it's a shame that it is not as popular as, let's say, Stoicism, because I think, like, it has really good narratives to keep in mind. With that out of the way, let's continue. Naturalism, another straight S tier, because personal bias. I love nature. I love plants. I love all forms of animals, pretty much. Like, okay, I don't want to keep a spider or centipede in my house, but they are living beings, and I think that that is quite beautiful. They can be far away from me, and they can also live their own life. That's what I'm thinking. And humans themselves are a part of nature. We feel happy in nature. When we swim, we feel happy. When we go through the forest, we feel satisfied. We like the grass, we like the blue skies. Well, because we came from nature. It doesn't matter if you're an atheist, if you believe in something. Nature is a part of us, and we are a part of it. So we should do our best to honor that tie and protect it. Vitalism. Okay, vitalism is a belief that living creatures like bacteria, humans, animals, plants have a certain trait, certain mode that differentiates them from normal matter. Like you are living because you have something different than the composition of a rock. Um, okay, I'll be honest. C tier because it kind of implies that there's a soul, and it kind of just suggests that you know humans are, and like living beings are kind of given life. It's just so baseless. Like, what could it be? And like physical explanations are also very viable. Like, it makes sense. You don't need to have a you don't need to believe that there's some external life force that was given to living beings to make them live. So I don't think it's very plausible. Utilitarianism. For me, uh, okay, utilitarianism is the overall school of thought that a moral decision is and should be evaluated by its contribution to overall society and contribution to overall happiness and well-being. Like in the trolley problem, should you save one person or should you save five people? You should save five people. And this is at the most basic level utilitarianism. And but the utilitarianism almost always plays for the long run. Like if you killed five people, but in the end, like over 10 years, that led to saving of 20 people, you should pick 20 people. Like should kill that five people, according to utilitarianism mostly. I am not putting this into S because the masses can be very, very, very misleading. Like, let's go with fascistic states. Let's go with the Nazi Germany. Like the population and leaders and the politicians were benefiting from actively killing and torturing or slaving their victims. Like apparently it looked perfect. They were happy because they were satisfying their vengeance. They were benefiting from it because they were using those people, and there was literally no other reason not to do that. So utilitarianism can sort of lead to that sort of mindset. I know, it's not as simple as that, but I think there is some sort of code in ethical and moral interactions that prevents utilitarianism from being the ultimate answer. Okay, eliminativism. Okay, I'm gonna leave it this one to last because I want to talk a bit about it. Transhumanism, B tier. This is the overall school of thought that we can use technology and with over time, the human evolution and human technological development will allow us to surpass the limits of our biological bodies. While that sounds nice, I don't really see a reason why we should do this other than remedying diseases. Like if your arm was blown off, you can have a new arm, and like if you were blind, you can cure that. But other than that, I don't really see a reason to go above humanity because we don't have that kind of technology. So far, I don't think transhumanism is a very necessary, not worth the nuances. I guess for me, I feel that way. Stoicism, B tier. I would have put this in A tier, but Stoicism as a school of thought is can be defined like this: if you can't do anything about something, then why worry? And while this is right, this is kind of way too much of a surrender, if you ask me, and a bit too conformist, because humans, most of the time, like with most matters, don't know what they can change. Like, you can say, oh my god, the government is killing hundreds of people, and you could say, yeah, not much to worry, like, do about that. You can do your best, but like you could protest and something, like a little, but otherwise, no need to feel troubled about it. But maybe you could do more. Maybe, just maybe. Stoicism, in the most part, I think it has some good doctrines about death, because, well, death is, yeah. They're right about that. Death is unavoidable. It is 100% certain, and there is literally nothing you can do about it. So it doesn't make sense to worry about it all that much. But otherwise, I think it's a bit of a primitive way of thinking. Like, this was thousands of years ago, almost, or hundreds of years ago. I think we should move beyond that. Solipsism, straight doo doo tier. Okay, solipsism is the school of thought that believes you yourself, the individual, are the only mind that is existing in the universe, in existence, and you're just imagining everything else, and everything else is a figment of your imagination. This is very, very dangerous because you're straight up saying, oh, yeah, you're not a human, you're just a part of my mind. First of all, how do you know that? Second of all, it doesn't make sense. And third of all, your interactions define you so much that even if you were, even if everything was a figment of your imagination, that imagination was real to you. So, in like, sort of, like, everything is real in a sense. Like, nothing is fake. There is no higher truth outside of your mind, and there doesn't really need to be one. So, solipsism just ignores the fact that humans are codependent, intersubjective creatures, and it just places you in this very dangerous place where you sort of become God with this. I really don't like that. Moving on, skepticism, straight up A tier. Okay, I'm gonna accelerate a little bit. Oh wait, we have a second. Existentialism and materialism. Wow, this is not a great one. Okay, skepticism is the core, is the heart of philosophy. It is basically just being skeptical about something. Like, somebody comes up and says like, oh yeah, like, let's say, well, the sun is a ball. It's a basketball ball. Like, let's say I said this to you like 3,000 years ago. No one knows anything, and you say, well, I don't know about that. I don't think so. Like, why will it be? Being skeptical is just asking questions about certain things, just asking, like, not being sure, just questioning it. And I think this is just the the reason why humans are humans. We ask questions, we are skeptical, we take precautions, we go deeper into things. So skepticism is very good. But I like it could be an S tier, but I think it is more fitting of A tier. Romanticism. I'm interpreting this as being romantic, interpreting everything as emotional, tying it back to yourself or something of the sort. And if I'm not mistaken, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, I don't really vibe with this because romanticism is kind of like, in my mind, it just kind of comes off like being all lovey-dovey about living and romanticizing things. Sometimes just let things be. That's what I'm thinking. Pragmatism. All right, again, another C tier because pragmatism. Well, pragmatism. Okay, I don't know the pronunciation, but in short, it is the school of thought that you should do things that benefit your personal life. You know, if there are like people, if your friends are being arrested for no reason, and you can object, like you can try to stop them. But if you are in the risk of being arrested too, if you try to stop them, you shouldn't do it because it harms you. So you should focus on the things that benefit you as a person, like, and in the overall sense, like, if supporting your friends is going to help you in the future, is beneficial to you in some sort of way, you can also do that. Pragmatism doesn't deny that. But this just alienates us. I think this is, well, way too filled up with capitalistic, liberal, individualistic, alienated doctrines that I cannot take this seriously anymore, because we are connected creatures. Like, it is in our code that we protect and defend one another. Well, yes, you should. Yeah, you can focus on yourself, you can focus on your own benefit, but taking yourself as the sole, like, as the only criteria of moral judgment and like decision making, I don't know, doesn't make sense to me. Nihilism, straight D tier. Nihilism is the belief that nothing matters in the universe and like nothing matters, nothing is shareable, and yeah, pretty much that. I hate this. I hate nihilism with every inch of my being because everybody cares about something. Everybody. And I'm not gonna keep it too long, but well, if you see a nihilist, ask them, then why don't you kill yourself? And just refute everything they say. Like they may say, I like, why does that matter? And ask them, okay, why does not why does it matter, right? Everybody cares about something. Everybody. It's in our mode of existence. We are all living creatures. It is. You may be confused. You may be hopeless and desperate, but nihilism is never the answer. There is always a meaning for the person themselves. Empiricism, B tier. It could have been higher, but it's really, really old at this point. Empiricism is the school of thought that information can be gathered by direct experience and through through the senses of the body. So this is kind of old because after empiricists came rationalists, where they thought that the mind was like the computational power, like the rationale was the thing that gave you information. And then later came Kant, and he infused those two together. So it just kind of didn't stand too powerful over time. It just got improved upon, which is in the nature of philosophy again. So it just, well, it lived out its life, like as is with everything. Okay, next up, atheism. I'm putting this in the middle here because I believe that, okay, personally, I believe in God, and it is my faith is a complicated matter. Maybe I'll talk about that in the next episode of Meditations on Life. But atheism is sort of a belief. And I think that atheists are not bad people overall, but it is important to not get too stuck on just refuting God for the sake of it. Because we don't know. Well, there could be a God, there could not be. Um, we don't know. So, for both sides, for both believers and non-believers, I think we should all allow each other breathing room. We should be able to doubt. We should be able to go back to our beliefs. And because atheism, in the end, is sort of an assumption that God doesn't exist because what we can see suggests so, or if you can interpret it that way at least. So atheism is, if you ask me, that's how I see it. You don't have to agree. It's a matter of personal opinion, a matter of personal perception. And in the end, if God exists, like which I believe they do, and if there is a soul in which that we will be, you know, living after death, I think we'll all be forgiven. So we should just try to live our life to the best of our capacity. Egoists, alongside pragmatists, because egoists, they're like, those Max Stirner people, like they say, oh yeah, we only think about our own benefit and we come together to defend our own benefits. My brother in Christ, that's not egoism. That's the nature of humanity. And you cannot solely think about yourself if you want to succeed. Dude, people have to unite for the betterment of everybody. Egoism doesn't work. You alone cannot cannot defend your own rights. Like, if there are 10 gunned men coming your way, you cannot stop those people. You need to cooperate. Like, you won't say, like, you're 10 people and another 10 people are united and coming towards you, they're going to kill you. You don't say, like, 10 egoists, they cannot go, okay, we're all going to do our own thing. No, you cooperate. You cooperate and stay alive. That's in, like, that's human. That's being human. So, yeah, practically. And again, this is a a doctrine of liberalism, individualism, and capitalism, if you ask me. Deism. Honestly, A tier. My belief kind of the strides towards this, and it is solely because while it doesn't make perfect sense, you can just ask, okay, what created this universe? And well, it doesn't have to be God, and there may be no start to the universe. Maybe it's just omnipresent, like timeless. But it's intuitively could make more sense than atheism. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree. Again, kinism, C tier, because kinism is just kind of being overtly critical, cynical, like according to the word, about beliefs, thoughts, opinions. Like Diogenes was kind of the founder of kinism, cynism, and he just, you probably know that story where he takes a federalist chicken to Plato's school, I think, and he says, "Behold a man," because Plato apparently said, "Man is a federalist biped." So he's just kind of a troll. And you just criticize others. You just are cynical of others. And well, I think skepticism does it better, honestly. Like, this is just not necessary. This is the better, like the cooler brother of cynicism. Confucianism, again, another rather old, primitive understanding. But we can put this in B tier because like the main understanding, the main ideas of Confucianism are nice, as far as I know. It is to live a life of virtue, to be good, to take care of one another, to be virtuous overall. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. So that doctrine, that idea itself is timeless. To be nice, to be good. Well, it never fails. So yeah, computism. I looked far and wide about what this actually means, what they're trying to say with this one, and I guess it means that the mind is a computer, and that computers can become conscious. Um, Honestly, I since I don't have a lot of opinions on this school of thought, I'm gonna put it in. Okay, I'm gonna make a new tier because it would be very unfair to just judge it out of like zero information. Okay, let's say got no idea. Computism goes into this because I genuinely have no idea what it means and I couldn't find it. So please let me know if you know in the comments. Communitism, A tier, because it's not communism, but it is the belief that resources, time, space, things can be shared for the common good, and people can work in communities and support one another. Well, that intuitively makes sense, doesn't it? Even in capitalism, communism, feudalism, anything, humans come up together. They form communities. They help one another. So it's pretty good. Yeah, like no reason to go against that. If you think you can live a very happy life without society, try genuinely. By all means, you're gonna be end up miserable. Buddhism, a personal favorite of mine, because I was really skeptical of Buddhism until I read and listened deeper into it. Deeper into it. It has really good doctrines. Okay, to summarize Buddhism, it is the belief that nothing ever is. I talked about this in a previous video, and everything flows. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Buddhism we have the Tao, and Tao is kind of like the flow. Everything flows, nothing stays the same, and the root of all suffering is desire. Because when you desire something, you inadvertently want something that is not permanent. That could be literally anything. And since you hold on to something that is not permanent, you will suffer the pain of it, which includes your own life. So if you truly let go of that material desire and focus inwards, you will have nothing that can inflict pain upon you, because you will have no regrets and nothing to hurt you, really. Okay, I didn't say Buddhism, I agree with Buddhism. I said I think it is magnificent, like very eye opening. Definitely do check it out. I just summarized it a little. But please, please, please read it for yourself. Absurdism. A tier. Absurdism is kind of like the smaller brother of existentialism to me. It's like kind of like this. The point of life is living. There is no grand meaning in the universe. Nothing matters. So just live. And according to your own desires, like everything is absurd. Like we're all Sisyphus. We are all pushing up that boulder. We know we're gonna die. We know it doesn't matter, but we kind of find meaning in that struggle, you know? And the reason why absurdism is not S tier, because existentialism is just kind of like a more structured, more uh, well put together understanding, while absurdism can be kind of just drawn around. So I cannot put it into S tier. Eliotism. Well, it's gonna go in C tier because it's a 2,000-year-old school of thought. Eliotism is the school of thought that was held by the ancient Greeks after Parmenides in Turkish. You can check it out. I don't know the English name, which is overall they think that existence, everything is one. You know, do you know that? I forgot the name. Well, damn it. Okay, this just follows the Parmenides or Parmenides. I genuinely don't know. It's just the belief that everything comes from the same thing, nothing changes, and everything is the same thing. This is a very old, primitive understanding, and there is no reason to follow this. Please read deeper into it. And since we already did materialism and existentialism, eliminativist. Jesus, these names are okay. This is going into C tier. Let me explain why. Because if I'm not mistaken, this school of thought kind of assumes that the internal processes, the conscious processes in the philosophy of mind, such as qualia, pain, suffering, joy, these are not really real, but kind of like this. Okay, let's say you know something, like, the things that we are so used to. How can I give an example? Wait, let me think for a second. Okay, I stopped the video to think a little. And okay, they say that overall folk psychology and overall terms such as belief and desire are so poorly defined and so poorly traced, like in the brain. Like, can you show what processes actually cause beliefs, what process actually caused some desires? It's kind of like you can't point to the soul, so therefore it must not exist, but kind of taken in the more physical way. And I genuinely don't agree, because I believe that those things are to be experienced, and even if they're not able to be explained, they are real to the subject that is experiencing that reality. Like, because nothing ever is like, pain is simply a signal that you feel, but it is real to you. Therefore, it doesn't make it any less real that it is caused by a physical process. It is real to that subject, and nothing can change that. And you can only infer that information through your own personal experience by existing as a subject in this world. So, just because you cannot define or capture beliefs or desires in the brain or anywhere else, it doesn't make it any less real. And with that, folks, another video has come to an end. I hope you enjoyed the video. I probably made some poor mistakes. I probably did some poor explanations, or I probably had some wild takes. I really don't know. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions, any comments, any thoughts, please make sure to drop them in the comments. And I'll see you next time. And again, thank you for watching.